Greetings, folks. It's good to be with you once again for today's message. And once again, I hope that you have had a good week and that life and God are being good to you. And I pray that you know God's presence and that you know that He delights in you, and I pray that you delight in God as you go about your ordinary daily work and routine activities and so on. So today's message is: meet someone's need, don't feed someone's greed. I'm quite pleased with that catchy little title, which, as you will discover, is related to today's gospel reading, Matthew chapter 25, verses 14 to 30. Meet someone's need, don't feed someone's greed. It is what is known as the parable of the talents, traditionally interpreted as an encouragement to be responsible in how we use resources that are entrusted to us. More about that later. As we move towards end of November and towards Christmas relentlessly, I think it's important to decide how we are going to spend our money. We don't need to make rich people richer. Are there options? Perhaps some of us are not planning on buying lavish gifts and are not planning on living it up in grand fashion during this season of celebration. With the world contending with the coronavirus pandemic, so that the numbers of unemployed people have escalated terribly, any kind of ruthless extravagance would not be appropriate in this context. Let's make our money and our spending count. Let's think about who is going to be on the receiving end and whether we are meeting needs rather than feeding greeds. Well-established, prosperous shops and businesses are not going to benefit in a really significant way from our custom. We don't want to fund handsome bonuses for wealthy executives. At least I don't. I don't know about you. We want to make the lives of ordinary people a little easier. Support local industry. Buy locally produced goods. Buy South African. Support people who do craft work and try to sell on the side of the street. Avoid the mass-produced stuff. Don't go for the glitzy. Rather, look for what is different and what is original. Don't be obsessed with the monetary value of what you give. Most of the people who constitute our family and friendship groups probably have enough already. Surprise some people with unexpected generosity. People who really need some help and who really will benefit from our gifts. As we have discovered, there are plenty of people who are ready to rip us off, even fake pastors and so-called workers of miracles, ready to deceive the gullible. Let's try more than ever this festive season to make our money count. We don't need fancy food. We don't need to go to really classy restaurants and experience food that is presented with a flourish as great artwork. We need to support good local restaurants that are really going to benefit from our custom. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to pour cold water on our plans to celebrate, because I love a good celebration. But let's celebrate appropriately, with hearts that are warmed by love and gratitude and sincere practical help given to those who are struggling. 2020 has been different. It's been strange, and it's been weird, and it's been challenging. So let's do different this Christmas. So back to the gospel reading and how I came to this place of ranting about how we spend our money. As I said, the traditional interpretation of the parable of the talents is use the resources entrusted to you responsibly. One obviously wealthy man about to depart on a journey dishes out some money to his servants or slaves, each according to his ability. And he gives this money to them on the understanding that they will trade with that money while he is gone. Well, the first servant receives 5 talents, the second 2 talents, and the third only 1 talent. And the first 2 trade very successfully, and they double their employer's money. And the third servant or slave hides his solitary coin in the ground. And his reason is because he knows that the employer is hard, is tough, is harsh, is exacting, and is looking for easy profits. He wants to reap where he has not sown, and he wants to gather where he has not scattered. This greedy man wanted his servants to work hard, to take risks, to trade with his money in such a way as to make lots of money so that he would be even more wealthy. Hats off to the third servant for refusing to be part of this capitalistic system, for having the courage to avoid feeding someone's greed. The fact that this rich man is really nasty is proved by his treatment of this third servant. He calls him worthless, and he has him thrown into outer darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And under no circumstances should we think that this is a description of God who's going to judge us viciously. So this parable certainly does say some things about how to use our resources, or the resources entrusted to us, responsibly, because we are really accountable to God for how we use our gifts and skills and abilities and so on. But really, there's a big question mark. What is this parable trying to say? Is it trying to say simply that use everything entrusted to you responsibly because one day you will be held accountable? Or is it trying to say something a little bit different from that? Make sure you're not part of an evil, corrupt system where the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Using one's gifts for one's own satisfaction and pleasure, and also to help other people, is commendable. Being trustworthy with other people's goods is commendable. But being a willing, obedient servant, so that someone who already is stinking rich can live in even greater luxury is not really commendable. You're not really using your life and your talents and your energy well if you are simply feeding the greedy. Be careful who you work for. Be careful about the work that you do. If corrupt executives are siphoning off profits for themselves, then seek other employment. Now, I know that this is easy to say and hard to do, because the options with regard to employment in South Africa and generally all over the world are not great at the moment. But we do need to question the ethics and the morals and the behavior of those who are in charge of any organization. Whatever Jesus intended by telling this parable, we can make it work both ways. Obviously, we are supposed to use what we've been given in such a way as to show ourselves to be good stewards. We might have natural ability. We might have a predisposition towards something that could be really useful. We might have a learned competency or skill so that we're able to do certain things really well. We might be in a position where we are able to help others in a particular way. And we should really make the most of those opportunities and those gifts and skills and abilities that we have. And we should do whatever we can to make other people's lives easier and better. We should never take opportunities that we have for granted, or opportunities that we have had in the past. We should not take those for granted, because our advantage often means someone else's disadvantage. If we are working still, having a good work ethic is really important. Giving of our best in faithful service, earning our money honestly, doing a good day's work. If we are entrusted with other people's possessions, then we need to be doubly careful. We need to be conscientious and wise and discerning and responsible. If, however, we interpret this parable differently, the focus is on our duty to ensure that we are not part of a corrupt system, helping the rich to get richer and the poor to get poorer. For to those who have, Jesus says in this parable, more will be given, and they will have an abundance. But from those who have nothing, even what they have will be taken away. This normally is interpreted as those who show themselves trustworthy will be entrusted with even more. This is seen to be a good thing. But this verse could be describing a sad reality in an unfair world. Those who have plenty often get more, so that they have a superabundance, a surfeit, more than they need. And those who have very little often lose the little bit that they have. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So, I know that it's a little early to talk about Christmas now, but if the decorations are out and if shops are trying to entice us to buy stuff to feed our faces and to give as gifts, then I think it's fair enough before the start of Advent to be talking a little bit about Christmas, looking ahead. What are we celebrating this Christmas? And I thought of 10 things that I want to celebrate, and perhaps you will agree with me that these are things worth celebrating, and that we should really keep focused on what we're trying to celebrate, on the reason for this season, and our desire to make this season of festivity and celebrations really meaningful, so that we can have a wonderful, wonderful time of being with family and friends, and going on holiday if we're able to do that, doing things that are fun, really enjoying life, relaxing if that's what we really need to do, if we haven't been doing that for 9 months or whatever it is of lockdown. Here are 10 ideas about what we should be grateful for and what we could be celebrating during this Christmas festive season. Firstly, the difference that faith makes in our lives. The opportunity to live in a different dimension. The opportunity to live a different reality, so that it's not all about comfort and about money and about the pleasures of life and about preserving ourselves intact for as long as possible. And it's not all about holding on to things as much as we can. And it's not trying to fool ourselves and other people that we have control. Being grateful for the gift of faith, and that we're called to live differently, live more deeply, and engage with some of those deeper truths relating to life and ourselves and the divine. Secondly, we're really celebrating the love of family and friends. Thirdly, we want to really celebrate everything that life and everything that God has given us. We want to be grateful for the gift of yesterday and the memories and the experiences that we've had, and the wonderful times and all that's been good, along with the stuff that hasn't been easy to endure. And then we want to celebrate the gift of today, that we are here now, and that's enough. We are contented. We want to celebrate the fact that we have had wise leaders, competent virologists and epidemiologists, skilled people, dedicated healthcare workers who have guided us through the most difficult year that many of us have experienced. We want to be grateful for those who've sacrificed, those who've served, and those who've made it possible for us to get towards the end of this very difficult and very dangerous year safely. I think, number 6, we want to celebrate ourselves. We've kept going. We've obeyed rules, I hope, about wearing masks and maintaining good hygiene and being socially distanced. We've been responsible, and it's been hard very often. Some of us have discovered that we can survive without a glass of wine for a few weeks, and that's an accomplishment. It's good to know that we're not addicted, but we can celebrate the fact that when Christmas dinner happens, we can have a glass of wine with our meal. And we want to thank God for bringing us through this time, and we want to thank God for perhaps what we've accomplished during this long lockdown period. But we're safe, and we're okay, and we're getting to the end of this a strange and difficult year, and we are grateful for that. Then, number 7, we want to celebrate the fact that there is such inherent goodness in so many people who have initiated or become involved in or contributed towards numerous feeding schemes and other works of charity, helping suffering people profoundly. We're amazed and we're encouraged and we're thrilled and we are grateful. That is, it's amazing. There are always so many people who are always looking for opportunities to give more. And that is an amazing thing. Number 8. We want to thank and be grateful for, at least I think Jill and I do, and I'm sure others as well. We want to thank people who have provided us with entertainment and people who have offered us access to material that has enabled us to learn and grow. But we are so grateful. So much of it has been free, and we've been able to benefit from the work of artists and entertainers and people with all kinds of skills and knowledge, and that's amazing. So much of this we have received as a free gift, and we are so fortunate. I think we want to celebrate too warmth and care and concern in our local communities. The experience of community is so wonderful. The reassurance that we are never alone, that we belong, and that's wonderful to have that sense of belonging to a community where we live or where we traditionally worship. And even if we've been worshiping online, the knowledge that we belong to a community is marvelous. And then number 10, I've kind of said it already, but we want to celebrate the fact that most of us in this group, I think, have everything we need. And so we don't know what next year holds. We don't know what next week or next month holds. And this coronavirus seems to be going nowhere except everywhere. So we don't really know what's ahead of us, but it's all okay. We have everything we need, and we're okay, and we're grateful, and we will trust 2021 into the hands of God, who is gracious, and we will trust that whatever is in store for us, probably it will be easier than this year, and we can look forward to that with a sense of expectation. So, as I come to the end of this message, a final reminder of the theme for today. Meet someone's need, don't feed someone's greed, including our own. What we do with our money matters. The greatest gift of God is his love revealed supremely in Jesus, whose birth we celebrate on Christmas Day. Your greatest gift to anyone is your love too. So express that love in ways that are appropriate. Express that love with abandon. Make that be the thing which energizes you during this festive season. Every day, opportunities to express love for those you know, for friends, for family, for strangers, for people out there. As you have opportunity, as I have opportunity, let us give the greatest gift we can give to the world and to God, and that is to love sincerely and generously, to manifest that practically, but to have hearts that are overflowing with the warmth and the joy of the love of God manifested in us. Amen. And God bless.